gentlemen, welcome to episode 346. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is Craig Ahrens. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
My pleasure, Keith. Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. The honor is all mine. And first thing, I do want to apologize for the Skype connection. Skype's not always perfect. It's usually hit and miss. This is why I wish I had my own studio, so we wouldn't be freezing every time we talked. But half hour, 45 minutes of your time, you can say anything you want, curse if you want to. Freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm an actor, a filmmaker. Prior to this, Keith, I was a mortgage banker for 25 years. And I never planned on being an actor or a filmmaker. I was a single dad for years. I mean, years raising 3 kids. And I started in mortgage banking in 1983. And if you happen to see, or any of your viewers happen to have watched, the film The Big Short, well, that's what happened to our company in 2007. We were an A-paper lender. We thought we'd be fine, but we looked at 2008 and thought it doesn't look good at all, so we shut down. And the hard part was a lot of our employees, we'd worked together for 20 years. And so here you are wondering, like, what are you going to do with your life? And I did have another business that I did work for a while. Making a long story short, a good friend of mine, Lewis Smith, been an actor for years. I saw him at the gym that we both work out at. And I said, so Lou, how's the acting thing going? And he said, oh, it's really good. And he had just booked a role in Django, Tarantino's film. Now, the interesting thing here, Keith, is this. Lewis, back in the day, went through acting school classes with Tarantino, Brad Pitt, Sharon Stone. They were an item for a good period of time. Gina Davis, I mean, just a really, really star-studded class. And so I asked him, I said, you know, with the greats that you've worked with, and when he mentioned about Django, he'd be working with Leo DiCaprio in a lot of the scenes. And so I asked him, I said, well, the greats like DiCaprio, how did they memorize a script? And he just started laughing. He says, like it's anything else, you know, you just get used to doing it. So he invited me to his acting class, which I had no idea, Keith, he had. And I live in Orange County, maybe 40 miles from Los Angeles, Hollywood. And also Lewis lives in Orange County. And so he invited me to the studio. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll get out of Orange County and watch actors do their thing. And I wasn't there more than 5 minutes, and he had me working with another actor. And I have to tell you, Keith, it was awkward as all get out. So the next day he asked me, he goes, so what do you think? I said, you know, that wasn't too cool, man. You kind of sucker punched me. And so he asked me to commit, right? So he asked me to commit for 90 days. And Keith, you have to understand, man, that as a mortgage banker, that's a very structured environment. There's no, how does this make you feel? Nobody asks you, how does it make you feel? It's all about accuracy. And so I said, okay, fine. So I gave it 90 days. And so if you look at my IMDb, all that's taken place in the last 5 years. But I think the important takeaway here, Keith, of any of your viewers from this standpoint, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You know, I know actors, a lot of actors now, and they'll say to me, well, Craig, don't you just love it and this and that? And I say, no, I don't love it. But my goal is always to push myself, to try new things, to better myself, you know. So my motivation is to see how far I can push myself. And what is so cool, Keith, is I really thought I would retire as a mortgage banker. And I thought, my position, I was at the top of the food chain in that industry. And I thought eventually I would retire early. And if I wanted to, I'd probably start where I began as a loan officer, do a few loans a month, but just got to keep myself in the game a little bit, you know. But it didn't play out that way. So the part I'm very appreciative from either a godly, spiritual connection that, whatever one wants to determine it to be, this is a part of my life, man, that I never expected. So it's a lot of fun because if I had not been open to that opportunity, I would have missed it all. And I'll guarantee you, I would not be talking to my new friend Keith right now, and you would not be interviewing me. So it just shows that be open to possibilities, brother. You never know. So I don't mean to go on and on, but at least for your viewers and yourself, that so long as we're open to possibilities, I'm living proof, man. Anything can happen.
No, absolutely. Look at me. I was labeled handicapped or retarded, learning disabled, never was going to amount to anything. But look at what I'm accomplishing with my disability. Thanks to you, we're up to 346. And
that's amazing.
And thank you, I appreciate it. And we're climbing that ladder back to 400, and then we're gonna go to 500.
Yeah.
And this is my 4th anniversary this year. And it's
congratulations.
Oh, congrats! Thank you, I appreciate it. And I didn't mean to interrupt. Skype's it's hectic, but it's 4 seasons, 4 years, and almost 400 episodes. It's basically saying, and a perfect example for you, is labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, and you should prove to them. Doesn't matter white, black, Asian, Spanish, 7, 90. It doesn't matter what labels you use, that you can still break the labels.
So true, Keith. I should share with you, when we're talking about, let's say, special needs or special education, when I was in 2nd grade, I had a tremendously bad stuttering problem to the extent I just stopped talking. And 2nd grade, every afternoon, I was taken out of my 2nd grade class and went to Dr. Newberry. He was a speech therapist. And they thought there was something certainly mentally wrong with me. Back then, they referred to it like, we're not exactly sure what it was, but some form of retardation. That's how they labeled it, right? And back then, I know now we have a lot more socially acceptable terms, but that's what it was labeled back then. So when my mother heard that, she just was devastated. I was an only child. It was like, how are we gonna deal with this? Well, eventually, after a long time, mind you, that he was able to reprogram my brain from the standpoint, Keith, my brain was processing words so quickly, I was having a hard time to form them and get them off my tongue. And so even to this day, that I still practice the lessons I learned back when I would have been like 8 years of age. But so I had to overcome that. And as you could imagine, kids aren't always the friendliest. So I was certainly labeled, what's wrong with me, and that was for a long period of time. So I can certainly relate having a personal challenge and overcoming it and making something of yourself.
No, absolutely. And now the next question I was going to ask you is, when did you make that transition from saying, enough is enough, I don't want to be a banker, to an actor? Did someone approach you, or did a light bulb go on, or did you get like an inspiration? When did you get the breaking point, say, enough with the retail, this is what I want to go?
Well, again, I kind of touched on that earlier, that we decided December 31st, 2007, that was it. And I had a little small business that I ran for a while. Wasn't exactly my thing, but it was just something to kind of land on, I suppose. And again, it goes back to Lewis Smith invited me to his class, and I remember to this day of how awkward it was, Keith. It was very painful. I did not enjoy the experience. And so when he made me commit to give it 90 days, I thought, okay, I will do so. And for your viewers, my first audition was so incredibly bad. I started laughing halfway through it. And I apologized for wasting their time. And to show Keith how naive I was, I drove from Orange County to LA, and Lewis Smith, to his credit, he went with me. And I just thought, I'm going up to audition for a film. I thought everything was a feature film. I just thought it's a film like I'm going to go to the movie theater and see myself in a film. And so Lewis is talking to the two casting people who look younger than my kids. And I thought, this seems very peculiar. And so he asked me, he says, well, is this a student film? And one of them said, yeah, it's a 3-minute student film. I thought, why in the world did I drive all the way from Orange County to LA for a 3-minute film? Why am I in a film that kids make? Because I didn't realize, that's part of the process. And again, the audition didn't go well. My second audition was for a feature film, and I booked it. And the difference was I worked really, really, really hard, Keith, on that audition. And I remember my oldest daughter, when her younger sister told her what Dad is doing. And my older daughter said, well, Dad, what about this acting thing, Brittany told me about? She goes, well, I hope you don't suck. And I said, oh, I suck at a very, very high level. And she was very perplexed, Keith. And she says, well, why are you doing this then? I said, well, I just hope I suck less in the future. So, what has really propelled me, Keith, is I want to be anything that I've done in my life. I like to perform at the top percentile. Not just that be the best, but I want to be taken seriously. You don't want to be taken as a joke in anything, right? And so I have just really worked hard at my craft, both as an actor and a filmmaker. So the turning point would have been Lewis inviting me to class, me accepting it, and saying, my gosh, I'm gonna work really hard at this, Keith, and become a professional, skilled actor. That's the story.
No, absolutely. You're given an opportunity, and instead of spitting back in the person's face, you're just very grateful for it.
Yes, you're exactly correct. Well said.
And now that's the same thing for me. A lot of people think this is just a joke or just a hobby. But I want to do this until I die, because that's how passionate I am about this. And I want to take it to the next step to see where it goes or what doors it may open.
Yeah. Well, you never know. You never know who's watching, Keith, but somebody's always watching. And like in your case, somebody comes upon one of your 300, I think you said 346 episodes. You're going to catch somebody's eye and say, who is this guy? Get in contact with this guy. So we could be having the same conversation 5 years from now, both of our careers at really nice, solid levels, and you have a big studio behind you. You never know.
That would be nice. Yeah, I would be appreciated for that.
Sure.
And, hey, if you know any good actor friend, have any good actor friends, if you can put a good word in for me, I'd appreciate it.
No, that's no problem at all. I'd be glad to.
Now we're going to take a quick muscle break, and when we come back, I'm going to pass the show over to you.
Sounds good.
Personal video message for yourself or as a gift for someone else. For personal connections, shout-outs, birthdays, proposals, weddings, and much more. Enter your details about yourself so the celebrity can record a personal video message, especially for you, including details such as your name, age, birthday, hobbies, or whatever else you include. As soon as the video has been recorded, you'll get an email with your link so you can share it on social media or download and keep it. Celebrities record videos as and when they can, usually within 2 weeks. But if you want a video for a specific date and it does not look like it will arrive in time, you can cancel it and get an instant refund at the click of a button. There are hundreds of celebrities to choose from and many more joining every day. Search by category or genre, buy a gift voucher, get updates and offers, and encourage your favorite celebrities to join so they can connect with fans in a fun and unique way. Raise money for their charities and much more. So order your video now for yourself or for someone else.
I'm so bored.
Want to see something really cool?
Yeah!
Now you'll never be bored again with Loot Crate, a totally bodacious mystery box packed with awesome toys, radical games, and other surprises. And the best part is, you can get Loot Crate delivered right to your door. So don't delay. Ask your parents and order today.
Everything okay in there? Yeah, everything great. I love Loot Crate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 346. I'm here with Craig Ahrens. And I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show. Like I said, again, Skype. And it's like, you're supporting a good cause, making a new message. Supporting a good cause, making a new friend out of it. And I wasn't freezing, but hey, Skype and the internet, you can't always control that. But before I pass the show over to you, I do actually want to ask you one more subject.
Sure.
Is, what were some of your favorite films that you were a part of? Were you part of some mainstream, or what would you recommend for the young people out there? Would you recommend doing self-tapes, or would you recommend taking classes?
Sure. That's a good question of a favorite film. And maybe I'll come back to that, because one doesn't jump out, because I just view truly doing my job. It's not an ego thing to me. I've never been a real starstruck guy. My mother was, but for me, and probably became because, Keith, I came into this later in life. I just view, do your job, don't bring it to China, and keep the story moving. My acting coach, Lewis Smith, made it very clear, we're storytellers, and understand your place in the lineup. About self-tape and classes, both are equally huge. I would recommend for any actor to get into a good structured class environment. It's like a tennis player who's always hitting the ball against a wall. You only can do that so long, so you really need to interact with somebody. As far as taping, more and more auditions are taped, but you can also do a lot of exercises taping yourself, and just study yourself, and just ask, how do I like this? Nobody really needs to tell us too much that we did a really good job or a really poor job. The eye doesn't lie, so so long as you're truthful with yourself, you can watch footage, work with another actor, tape it, and watch it, and see for yourself what you think. But certainly a structured class environment, I recommend that for any actor, because you can't get rusty, and you can't say, well, I've done all of this work, I don't need classes anymore. That's why there's batting practice. LeBron James, first to practice, last to leave. I grew up in the era of Jerry West, went through that era. Then you had Magic, you have Kobe, all the greats work really, really hard in practice for the game. Same for acting. Very same for acting.
No, absolutely. And now, one more question for you is one of my favorite subjects. It's about social media. And I call it social media. Can it make you or break you? And what is your opinion about it? Do you think it helps, or do you think it hurts?
It's huge. It's huge. I am booked out with projects from this point on to the end of the year, and I've had one audition in January. Now, somebody's gonna say, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible." No, everything I've booked is because of people I've worked with, or how I post things on social media. And I'll explain that to you. If a person visits my Facebook, I have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But if you visit my Facebook page and Instagram, it's very strategic to tell a story. And if you go to my IMDb page, you'll see, demo reels and all this and that. So let's say you're a filmmaker, and maybe somebody referred me to you, and you're going to check out my work. That you could go through there. You're not going to see pictures of me on a rooftop jumping to do a cannonball into a pool. You're going to see clips. You're going to see this. You're going to see this and do that. So I'm very specific on social media and the message I want out there. So yeah, for me, man, look, I was a guy that I didn't like social media and I avoided it. I found it really annoying. A lot of it because I didn't really understand it. But as an actor, hugely, hugely important on every level, Keith.
Now, do you think social media can also make your career or break your career?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Certainly, lack of social media presence hurts. But by the same token, man, that if you are somebody that you're reckless with your career, and what I mean, you're just doing a lot of actions that are just not appropriate, once that hits social media, you can't take whiteout to it. It's there. And I think all of us, from a character standpoint, we all start off at 100%. And then you work backwards from there, right? So, knock on wood, I haven't had any experience along those lines. But I don't put myself in a position for something like that to happen. But there's always somebody out there that can kind of go nuts on you. But, yeah, a negative can be very damaging, sure.
No, that's one reason I don't like commenting on people's videos. And to give you a perfect example, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan.
Sure.
And I like the old voice of Frieza by, I think, Wenda Young, or I think that's her name. And she did the voice from like 98 until sometime in 2000.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry?
I said, wow, okay.
And I was like, that's the Frieza that I know and love. And
yeah.
In a new person who took it off, I don't have any doubt that, for the new generation, they're going to say, oh, he's great, he's wonderful. I don't know the guys, I'm not going to knock him. But
right.
His Frieza impression really grinds on my nerves because it's not what I grew up to. It's more obnoxious than anything. So, like the old one, John Kimmel, mostly John Kimmel, Sean, I forgot his last name, but he does Goku. He will always be Goku to me. Chris Sabbath, he does Vegeta and Piccolo. He will always be those characters. So, number one, I interviewed recently. It was a good interview, but he kind of backed out of it because he didn't want the voices to be used. It was Michael Herbert. And he basically, I said, let's have fun with the characters. I want to ask Pycon, where do you stand on the race card? Where Gohan, where does you stand on women's rights, or was Goku a good father? And it made it fun because you hear the character answer the questions. But unfortunately, he told me to take it down, and because he didn't want to get in trouble for the voices. But it's fun to do the voices because that's what people expect. And I don't know if you heard about the incident recently over the weekend. I think it was Texas Comic-Con or Arizona Comic-Con. One of the Comic-Cons where this nutjob fan tried to kill Jason David Frank.
Whoa.
And it's kind of like, yeah, you play a superhero on TV, but at the same time, how did he get past security with a gun?
Yeah.
And now the new ban is, and thank God for this, the new ban is that they're going to ban props, weapon props. Now I'm saying, okay, if you have a piece of plastic, if you have a piece of wood, that's fine. But if you have some kind of a replica or a 3D model of a gun, absolutely not. That should be banned, not even through the freaking door. That should not be allowed. And this guy, I lost my hands with him because he ruins things for everyone. This nutjob came in with his mindset, like was John Lennon. No, not John Lennon. The guy who asked for the autograph, and after he got the autograph, he shot him.
Yes.
It's pretty much, you can't deal with mentally disturbed people like that because he had it all set up and it all planned out from A, B, and C. And it's kind of like, you can't deal with, it's like with the Muslims and the terrorists.
Right.
There's no middle ground. If you're capable of doing something A, B, and C, and your mind is like, this is what I want to do, then you ruin things for everyone else.
How true. How true. Totally agree.
Luckily, nothing happened to D-State Frank, knock on wood. I would love to have him on the show.
Yeah.
But it does, like, there's a number incident where I work in Woodbury Commons.
Mm-hmm.
And during the weekend, yes, there's security. But during the week, there's a kind of lack of security.
Mm.
And there was a briefcase or a luggage suitcase outside of Calvin Klein's. And I was the only one who reported it. I went to the tower, and I said, I lost my temper. I said, where the hell was security? And these two people behind there looked at me and said, like, what were you talking about? What's your problem? And I said, my problem is that if you look at your computer screen and camera, you will see a suitcase outside of a store not being attended to. I stayed there about 2 minutes. 2 minutes too long because little bells were going off and I wanted to get the hell out of there. And it's kind of like, my parents think it was a test. They were just testing the comments and the response. But just the fact I said something and no one else said anything, it's kind of really unnerving.
I agree with you, Keith. I just think, well, me being a dad with 3 kids, I mean, I've told my kids, my oldest daughter's 29, my son's 28, my youngest is 19. But you never stop being a parent. They kind of tune me out now, but I will still have my opinion. And I've told them, avoid, if you can, large crowds, or at least be mindful. And for all of us, it's so much easier said than done, but those are the times we live in. And it's, it'd be interesting to see how history records all of this. I would love to see as a planet, as human beings, we could all come together. I know that sounds, in many circles, very idealistic, but, if you watch kids on a playground, and I spent many a time being a single dad at playgrounds, you will see all ethnicities. They're all doing their thing. And then, yet, as adults, do some monstrous things. So somewhere in there, there's a disconnect. And I'm not professing I have all the answers, but I would give anything if this planet, if somebody could, or some people could figure it out and say, I think we'd be a much better place, in a much better place, if we could all figure out some degree of showing respect, basic respect to somebody, and not this nonsense.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. And why answer me this? Why does it take a disaster to bring people together?
I agree with you. I agree.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you that, there's this common bond as a species that we want to come together in a catastrophe to connect with people, to share with, because it's bigger than ourselves, if you will. And I agree with you. Why did it have to come to that? It's those kids in Manchester, just blown apart, and somewhere in there we need to figure that piece out and somehow figure it all out before it really is our demise.
No, absolutely. And basically, people say, what is the world's dangerous animal? And the sad part is it's humans, number one.
I agree. Yeah.
And you look at, people coming together, September 11th, Katrina, Hurricane Sandy. I don't really think people came together what happened in the city. But in Manchester, and then he came to London. It's kind of, I don't know, I don't think humans are really smart. I just think we're a bunch of stupid animals.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of like we need to change that because, you know, evolution, you want to look at it like that. We came from cavemen or cave women, and then through the generations you see the different transitions, but, you know, bottom line is we're still ancestors from monkeys or gorillas or primates or whatever the hell it is, and it's pretty much like that. It's more of an excuse than what it is.
I agree with you.
Anyway, I didn't mean to complain.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I didn't mean to complain to you.
No, I think these are conversations we're having right now that most every person on this planet is having, saying this is bad and how is it fixed. But if I've learned anything in life, things begin in a conversation. Why is it that you hate me? And let the person talk. I may not like it. I may disagree with them. But I don't think anybody can really say that the game plan we're on right now is working particularly well. I know there's some times that extreme measures, I suppose that's appropriate. But before it gets to that level, at least try to find a way of reasoning, because where we are headed right now is off a cliff, and it's like driving 100 miles an hour and your brakes don't work, because it's only going to get worse if we don't try to figure this thing out.
No, absolutely, and I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to pass the show back to you and we can wrap up.
Yeah.
It's that... Actually, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to pass the show over to you. Actually, wait, I remember now. I'm going to save it. I want you to pass the show over to you first.
Okay. Well, I have a question. You've had, Keith, 346 shows for your anniversary. So what made you want to do this? What was it that was your motivation? Did you just wake up one morning and you had this epiphany that this is what I want to do? But I know there would have been some spark to do this, and it would have been a lot of work to reach out to 346 people to be on a show. People oftentimes commit and flake, so I'm sure you have a lot of stories in those 346 that didn't exactly work out per plan. But what was your motivation? What prompted you to want to have this platform, a talk show like this?
The truth is, you were supposed to be 446. When I first reached out to the 300, people said to me, I was thinking, long story short, it's basically people said to me, you're not copyrighted, you're not trademarked, and you're not legit, and you need a license, whatever. So I went to a lawyer, because I was taking people at their word. And it got to the point where it says, okay, before we do the interview, or I'm recording for the record, do I have your permission? And that I was taking people at the word, and then when long story short, my sister and my family would get on my case saying, you're not copyrighted, you're not trademarked, you're not this, you're not that. So I said, you know what, screw it. I went to a lawyer, a senior advisor. He said, one, you do not have to be trademarked. You're pissing away $2,000, and you're not making money, so being copyrighted or trademarked isn't really that necessary. Two, you have an online presence, so people know who you are. So that's why it's always good to be on these social media. So that's kind of like, it's your own thing. Let's see. Trademarked. Do not have to be copyrighted. And one thing you said to me, your biggest mistake was you should have had them sign a permission form. And the permission form is you introduce yourself, tell them what the show is, and they agree what you interviewed, they write it, you did it, and all thanks up to you. We're back up to 346. All those people did. So I went back to the beginning, and little by little, people said to me, yeah, can you take down my interview? I don't like the video quality. I don't like, the questions you ask. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Wow.
I don't like the video quality. My agent said, my publicist said, you're degrading. It's degrading to be with people like you. I thought it would help my career. It would get me more sympathy. Instead, it's more of a joke. So I said, screw it. I took everything down. What's originally called uncensored. And make a long story short, I was using my disability as a crutch growing up, and I said, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore, because say I'm at the table with you having lunch, and your daughters would say, oh, Dad, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I would say to you, what about me? You guys would stop and look at me and say, what about you? You're not educated, you don't have a college degree, you're not capable of holding down a job, you're not capable of doing A, B, and C, so that's it, we don't know what to do with you. And I got sick of hearing that from my family, and I said, you know what, I'm not turning weakness into a strength. I'm going to show people that even with having a disability, I can still amount to something.
Sure.
And that, I don't know, it's short a long time. I got sick of hearing that and using disability as a crutch. I wanted to be a personal assistant. Almost Famous had an impact on my life. I wanted to go on tour as a band, be a roadie, and that wasn't really realistic. Because I couldn't, I don't know, you can't really make a living to being a roadie. But it's nice, you travel, but at the same time, where you got to get the money for it.
Sure.
But I came across a TV show, Suits. I wanted to be like Mike Ross. I wanted to have a boss like Harvey Specter. And I tried taking some acting classes. The guy was asking for a lot of money. First it was $600, then he went to $1,200. And I was like, I don't have ATM stamped on my forehead, so where am I getting this money? And then from then I said, you know what? I want to create something that's my own. I created my own show in the beginning, KeithAndrewNetWork. And it was originally called Uncensored, and there's a lot of them. And when I took my show down, I said, I'm going to do it over. So I got rid of Uncensored, and I replaced it with KeithAndrewNetWork, because I had the brand, and it sounded good at the time, saying KeithAndrewNetWork presents Uncensored. And it still is uncensored, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And I was like, if I really want my brand to stand out, then I should really do something about it. So I changed from being uncensored to the KeithAndrewNetWork. And thanks to you, we're up to 346. Sorry, just trying to catch my breath. And it's basically just saying, look at what I'm able to accomplish.
You betcha.
And I tried reaching out to people I interviewed the first time. Some said yes, some said no. And you look at the video quality. When I first started, it was pretty much what you see on the reflection is what the camera got. And then season 2, it's like, okay, here's the camera, I'm going to record from the screen. So if you look at season 1, season 2, you're going to see a transition. And now season 3 and 4, I'm using Skype recorder. So it's got to be cut in half. I'm on the right, you're on the left. So over the 4 years now, you saw a transition. And it's pretty much the same that just because someone wants to stick you in a bubble, that doesn't mean you have to give up, crawl into a little ball, and die. You should just go. I like to say for myself, people give me 2 expressions. And like I said, it's live. Anything can happen. If you don't mind, I'm going to take a quick sip.
Sure.
Excuse me. And I was going to say, first expression I use is saying the leash. You know, when you're on the leash, you got to go. When you got to go, you got to go. And then you stop. And then you're going to say, okay, we gave you all this freedom. Now we're going to see what you do with that. Make sure you don't hang yourself with all that rope we gave you. So you're so on the way, you're on a leash, but you're trying to get away. But that's one scenario. I know that doesn't make sense. But the other one, a lot of people use the brass legs, climbing the ladder, one step at a time. I like to say breaking the ceiling. You know, people say break the fourth wall. Well, I like to say break the glass ceiling. And it's, I don't know why it's echoing. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
And break the glass ceiling, you got to push, and you got to push. And like the saying, but the doors, you break on through to the other side. So once you start breaking through to the, and now I can't say it's a straight face. Now when you say break on through to the other side, people will start to question you. Are you ready? Is he capable of doing this? Is he got to fall on his ass or whatever? And my grandfather always says, let him fall on his ass, and that's the only way he's going to learn. And that's any way for anyone out there.
So true.
It's just showing you that labels do not dictate. Long story short, if someone's in a wheelchair, that's not going to define who you are.
No.
Someone who's deaf, blind, Helen Keller, who became an inspiration for people. And, you know, it's basically people like to put labels on you. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are. If you're showing them that you're capable of doing something, that it's no harm to anyone, but you can turn yourself into an inspiration. You can become anything you say your mind to.
That's right. Even an actor.
No, absolutely. Now, with that being said, was there anything you wanted to talk about? And did you want to promote social media? Are you on social media? How can your fans follow you?
Yeah, the best would be probably to Google me. Craig Ahrens, Ahrens. Everything will pop up from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. So I'm pretty easy to find. And any of them that become my new friends via social media, I'd appreciate if they could maybe send me a direct message or something. Say, hey, I enjoyed Keith's show, to kind of let me know where they came from. But I think that'd probably be like the best way to go about it.
No, absolutely. Now, going on the record, I do have a couple questions for you off the air.
Yeah, that's fine.
But going on the record, I'm a big fan of Bill Raleigh. And so, going on the record, just doing a little hand sign of it, and the spin stops here. So, as the spin stops here, going on the record, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction? And after being a guest on my show, how do you feel now?
Sure. Well, like anything, and I think from my roots as a mortgage banker, I want information. You know, that before I just jump into anything, like, okay, well, what's this about? What typically are the genres? It's just going to be like a roast where I'm going to get, hit on the side of the head with questions that have nothing to do with nothing. So first was just information. The concept of it I was cool with, but I just wanted information, and you very graciously, you sent me that show to watch, which I watched all of it. I thought very cool. So I went into this with an open mind. I did my homework for, let's say, consistency's sake, and I'm very pleased. I mean, this went really, really well. It was a very good experience, and it really went the way I had seen it in my mind. So all positive thoughts of my end.
No, absolutely. And what do you say to all the naysayers out there that want nothing to do with me? What is your advice to them?
Well, they're wrong. But see, the thing is, Keith, it's bigger than that. The naysayers about you, they are just naysayers, period. It's been my experience. People that have a negative mindset or just kind of a pissy attitude, they weren't happy before they met you, and they won't be happy once they leave your company. So you can't learn a long time ago. You can't reason with a fool, and you can't reason with a drunk. So the best thing is, if this is a cup of tea, great. If not, no big deal. There's no wrong answer. There's going to be somebody else. So it's to their detriment. I just think all of us should be willing to be there for other people. I mean, how cool would it be for you and your viewers? You had a George Clooney on here, a Leo DiCaprio. And if you visualize that, it will happen. I will say this about a lot of really big stars. They are the most gracious people, humble people. A good friend of mine just worked with Robert Redford, believed to be his last film as an actor. He'll continue directing. And my friend is in the last, he believes to be in the last scene with Robert Redford. And a day before the last day of shooting, my friend is sitting there having lunch. And Robert Redford comes over to him and said, "Do you mind if I join you?" And my friend's a really big guy. He says, "No, please don't." He goes, "I'm Robert Redford." And my friend got kind of like a loss for words, said, "Yeah, I kind of know who you are." And Robert Redford just started talking to him. And he says, "You know, if I can give you any advice, work hard, stay in acting classes, work hard at your craft, and always be humble. Be humble." So, and I have a very similar story that I had lunch some time ago with, rest his soul, James Gardner. Incredibly nice man. And he wanted to know back then as a lender, he wanted to know all about mortgage banking. He directed all the questions at me. Nicest man you had ever met. And the way he was on the big screen, I'm here to tell you, he was the same way in real life, just a decent man. So the superstars, they're willing to give back. And you always have that malcontent like anything, but it's about being respectful and being humble. Always, I think.
No, absolutely. Now, I do have some questions for you off the air about wrapping up our interview segment. It was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest and building a friendship with you. And
Right.
I'm looking forward to part 2.
Same here. Thank you, Keith.